The last town along the highway on Kauai's west shore is the last place to get food and gas before heading out to Polihale or up to Waimea Canyon. Here in Hawaii's Most Haunted, we feature Keikaha and Mana. Beyond the cool waters and trade winds of our idealistic paradise is the thin veil which separates our world from the place where the shadows talk back. Welcome to Hawaii's Most Haunted. It is said that long ago, before sugarcane, Hawaiians were able to travel from Waimea to Mana by way of canoe, for the entire area in between was once marshland. That all began to change when a man named Valdemar Knudsen, a native of Norway, arrived. He acquired a lease of crown lands in the Waimea district and drained a number of acres on which he planted sugarcane and began Keikaha Sugar Company. Over the years, the town of Keikaha grew up around the mill. According to Eric Knudsen, his father built their family home at Waiava. Surrounding the house were a number of fruit trees, and later Knudsen planted grapevines and produced wine. Sometimes, in the evenings, steps could be heard on the veranda, soft at first, but getting louder. When someone called out, there would be no answer. There was no one outside. When the clock struck 10 p.m., the sounds would begin again. One person said that when they went outside to check, the sound continued past her, but there was no one there. Today, you won't find any remnants of a swamp, and the mill is now inactive, but the people and their stories remain. In the 1970s, a young woman named Mari went to Kauai to spend the summer with her family in Keikaha. Originally from Honolulu, Mari enjoyed seeing the sights with her cousins, but was happiest relaxing in the comfort of the little house across the street from the beach in that peaceful town. One early morning, the young woman decided she would take a stroll along the shore by herself. The sun was already high in the sky, and the cool wind that came in from the ocean carried upon it a fresh, briny scent. The grayish sand was hot, and the waves that lapped at the shore cooled her bare feet. She walked as far as she could before the sandy beach turned into rocks. Mari turned back to go the way she came when suddenly she heard humming behind her. Looking back, she saw there on the rocks a Hawaiian woman, brushing her hair with a small comb. Pulling her hair over the shoulder, the Hawaiian woman glanced toward Mari and seemed both startled and angry to see the girl watching her. The unintentional interloper smiled and gave a short wave, but the woman leapt from the rock and disappeared into the water. Mari stood staring in disbelief until the wind brought tears to her eyes. Did I really see that? Mari wondered. The young woman struggled to understand what she saw. The Hawaiian-looking woman had no legs, not like people anyway. From her waist down was simply a tail. Mari walked closer to the rock the woman was sitting on and saw that she'd left behind her comb. It wasn't much larger than Mari's hand and looked to be made from the shell of a turtle. She decided to hold on to it until she saw the Hawaiian woman again. Mari returned every morning in the days thereafter, but to no avail. The strange woman with the long tail never returned. Since the day she saw the woman on the beach and found the turtle shell comb, Mari became more and more sick. It started with a headache that wouldn't go away. Then she had little or no appetite to eat during the day, and at night she couldn't sleep because of the horrible dark nightmares. Frightening images of being pulled down into an underwater sea cave and being eaten alive by a terrible dark-colored creature with claws that ripped at her flesh. Whatever it was would call her name in the dream, and whenever Mari would answer, the creature would only say one word, "Na'u." Finally, she had no energy left to get out of bed, much less walk to the shore. She stopped coming out of her room, and despite the concern of her family, she refused to see a doctor. After she missed dinner, yet again, Mari's cousin tried to wake her up. When he opened Mari's door, he gagged at the overpowering smell of rotting fish. He glanced around the dark room and saw Mari lying on her bed, hardly breathing. Her skin was pale and peeling. Her hair was wet and matted about her face. In her hand, she clutched to the turtle shell comb. Although she was clearly sick, the stench of rotting fish told Mari's cousin that this was no mere illness. He believed she was suffering from a curse. Her cousins called in a kahuna, who was well known in their community. The first thing the kahuna noticed was the small brown comb in Mari's hand. Deadly serious, he tried to pry the comb from her hand several times, but he could not get her fingers to release the grip. Following the kahuna's urgent orders, Mari's cousin put her in his car, and they raced the short distance to the shore. There, the cousin carried Mari to the beach near the rocks, attempting to place her on the sand. Mari's hand slipped off her chest and landed on the same rock where she found the comb. Once her hand touched the pohaku, her grip relaxed, and the comb gently tumbled onto the rock. Instantly, the color returned to Mari's cheeks, and her breathing became steady. The kahuna nodded and motioned Mari's cousin to return to the car. As they walked away, they heard a splash behind them. They turned to see that the comb was gone, and in the water, just a few yards away, in the channel between the coral reefs, a Hawaiian woman was watching them. Mari's cousin dropped to the sand while still holding her in his arms and began praying. The kahuna also dropped to his knees and bowed his head in deference to the akua of his ancestors. The Hawaiian woman then dove down into the water and never resurfaced. Mari's cousin asked if they'd just seen a mermaid, to which the kahuna replied, "No, this was not a mermaid. This was not Kananaka. This was a mo'oahine." The nightmare stopped. Mari's headaches went away, and her appetite returned. She had no memory of what her cousin and the kahuna saw, but for some reason, the turtle shell combs at the swap meet and the international marketplace give Mari a very uneasy feeling. Mana means hot and arid, the fitting description for the village that carried its name. The area was once an aukueva, the place where the restless spirits of the dead wandered. Wichman describes Mana as a land of sand, marsh, and heat intermingled with fresh and salt water, a land of decorated gourds, of fishermen, the home of supernatural white and black dogs, a land where confused spirits of the newly dead wandered, was not at first a desirable place to live. Workers living in the plantation camps told stories about the dead walking in their silent procession, sometimes straight to the house of the Luna, making their way to the Lena Ka'uhani at Polihale, the place where souls leap into Po. The little village and plantation camps of Mana are no longer there, a victim of the dying sugarcane industry. But the legends still remain. One thing that puts locals on edge is driving through Mana at night. Many local people will tell you that you should be wary of picking up hitchhikers at night, especially if they appear to be women. In the 1920s, an old Chinese man said he was driving from Mana into Waimea, and he picked up an old woman who was walking on the side of the road. She declined his invitation to ride in the front and climbed into the back seat instead. After a while, she asked for a cigarette and matches, which the old man supplied. As he neared Kekaha, the driver turned to ask if she wanted to get out, but there was no passenger. Confused and thinking that maybe she fell out, he retraced his route back to Mana, but there was no sign of her. The Hawaiians that he shared his story with said that he must have had Pele for a passenger.